Welcome back to the Military Historian Channel. I'm Lloyd Shellenberger. Today we're going to be speaking to Grant D. Wills, Captain Grant D. Wills of the 141st Engineer Battalion. He was a bomb hunter himself. We can say a lot of things about him. He had a lot of titles. But the one thing we can absolutely say for sure was he was responsible for the mission that saved this family and brought him to America. Take a listen. Welcome to the Military Historian Podcast. I'm Lloyd Shellenberger. I'm your host. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, I'm Lloyd Shellenberger with the Military Historians Podcast. We are doing a group of interviews or a series of interviews about the Letters from Baghdad Left Behind series. And in that, we're speaking to the participants and the people in the subject matter, individuals that we met over in Iraq, and 20 years later, we're doing a story about them. One of them we're talking to today is a Captain Grant Wills, retired Colonel Grant Wills, from the 141st Engineer Battalion, Company B, 3rd Platoon. I would like you to meet him, Captain Grant Wills. Say hello.
Hello there. Good to meet you all.
Anyways, you have a very rich military pedigree, don't you? Tell us about it.
Yes, sir. My father was a retired full bird colonel with nearly 40 years of service. He was a combat infantryman in Korea. My father was the youngest ever in the Korean theater to make the rank of first sergeant at the age of 22. He then received a battlefield commission and took over a company. My oldest brother Greg is a retired full bird colonel that served in the North Dakota Army National Guard for many years. He had a one-year deployment on a humanitarian mission to Honduras. My brother Gary is a retired major. He was an engineer, a company commander. We'd all served in the various officer positions. My older sister just retired about 2 weeks ago, and she was a two-star general and the only female in the North Dakota Army National Guard, and that came through the ranks in the combat ranks. So she was a combat engineer.
Wow, that's the reason I bring this up. It bears fruit on why you took the position to go over to Iraq and took the assignment and the deployment. Tell us about Jordan and why that is important, and the thinking that went through that you decided to go on this particular deployment.
I had a child with disabilities, my son Jordan. He passed away in 2017. Jordan had lifelong disabilities, and it would have been very easy for me to write a request to not go because of a hardship, so that I would have had to stay home and take care of my son. And with that family history, I'd spoken to my father, my brother, my sister. My father didn't want me to go. But he's like, no, I'm not making this choice for you, Grant. And when I spoke to my sister, who was active in the political scheme, knows people and rank structure and promotion lists, she said, you have to go or you'll be done in 2 years. And it took a lot of soul searching because I feared leaving him alone. I feared not being there if his needs needed to be met.
So, one of the things that I have been talking to all of your comrades about, and these are the people who work for you, particularly Sergeant Shane Beckert. You and him are very good friends, aren't you?
Yes.
And when you went over there, you both saw your fair share of loss, because you lost 4 people from your company. Holmes, Koenig, right?
Holmes, Koenig,
Brown, and Wentz.
yes.
All of them were killed by IEDs, correct?
Yes.
You were even there.
Died of injuries or killed.
Right. And you were there when Philip Brown was killed as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
we bring this up, and not to go into too much detail, but we bring it up because we want people to understand what the theater was like over there. It's easy to, and we also bring this up so we understand in context what Majeed and his family went through. Okay? What happened the day that Philip Brown passed away? And what was that date?
So on May 8th, 2004, I had arranged to do a sanitization mission, which means we were going to clean up an area that was very high IED. We called it IED Alley, IED improvised explosive device. So I had engineers with heavy equipment, graders, bulldozers. Those are being hauled down on tractor trailers. I had a full security set up. We were going to go down and mow down a bunch of what we call elephant grass. Went on this mission. As we were putting far side security out, when they stopped, Phil had gotten out of the vehicle to use the bathroom, and they were getting ready to deploy the guys and move the vehicles, and boom, bomb went off. And that bomb took off the better part of Phil's lower legs.
Was he in the vehicle at the time or outside the vehicle?
He was standing outside the vehicle. And the TC, or the squad leader in charge, Mark, got shrapnel in his knee. And then we found out 3 months later he had a piece of shrapnel in his IBAS, which he didn't even realize hit. That shrapnel entered his bulletproof vest, groin protector, right at the area of his femoral artery. He was a lucky man. And I immediately rushed to scene, and Phil was kind of writhing on the ground. And he was yelling, "They got me, the bastards, they got me. The bastards, they got me." I was like, "Calm down, brother." And we tried to hold him down, keep him calm, got some tourniquets on him. This whole scene took place over probably about 32 minutes before he was on a helicopter out of there. And to me, it was the longest 32 minutes of my life, because not only was I trying to take care of Phil, which was not my primary mission, but I'm a National Guard soldier, so I went as a combat engineer, but by training and license, I'm a registered nurse. Taking care of Phil, managing security, bringing in the helicopter, doing all of those things, or directing people to do those things, and making sure we didn't lose anyone else.
But you did, Wentz died the same day that Brown did as well, correct? Cody
Actually,
Wentz?
no, Holmes died that day.
Holmes died that
Holmes
day?
died in Germany, literally within hours of Phil.
Now, was Holmes also on that mission and he was struck as well that day, or was it a separate mission?
Separate mission, 2 days prior.
And he died the same day, May 8th.
Yes.
Langstuhl, right?
Langstuhl.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, I have to believe, because I had some time to speak to your Sergeant Beckert, it is obvious that every one of these things had deep impact on you over there.
Yes.
What about it, the whole mission, when you look back, what about it really just stuck out for you as you lost more and more people? Because you lost at least 4, and then many more were injured.
Right. You know, we did a different mission. I mean, when you think, a lot of times people think about military guys, especially in the combat, as being in trenches and shooting back and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. We made sure we patrolled the route. We were route clearance. We wrote the book on route clearance, literally, because we had people that were writing Army field manuals riding with us to look at our tactics, techniques, and procedures.
I read one of the colonel's books on that, yes.
But what stood out to me about this mission was to win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. From the President of the United States through Donald Rumsfeld, all the way down through the generals in my chain of command, there was a bullet on the bottom of a form, kind of like setting our goals. And that bullet I copied from the highest level of command: win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. And what I felt a big mission of mine as a citizen soldier was to follow that. I wasn't simply a war fighter. I wanted to keep my men safe. I wanted to protect people, but it was to win the hearts and minds of the Iraqi people. And I conducted my mission in a way that we could do that. Whether it be humanitarian, I would talk to doctors on the base. I've ran health clinics with the support of the platoon. My men would provide security. We would take villages, food, water, milk,
Medical.
clothing, medical supplies.
Which is where we met many years ago.
Yes. In Mokachifa, the little village on the Samara bypass.
So you, not only was that your thought, Angie, your wife, when you left at the time, instilled in you, take care of your men. That was what she always told you, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And she was right on, right?
I did my best.
And you did your best. There was never, it was not always in your control. Am I correct?
And that's what sucks, Lloyd,
Yeah.
because this is 20 years ago and I've had hundreds of people tell me to let it go. It was a war and I couldn't do anything.
And Grant, you know
But
what?
I lost a kid
Take your time.
that I couldn't bring home.
And this is, you're a godly man. I know Papa to you, correct?
Yes.
You know that ultimately in the end, his decisions are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
He had decided that was going to happen that day. And
My mother-in-law often reminded me of that. She was a big study of C.S. Lewis, and she sent me some stuff from his book that says we're all part of the play. And being an author and a producer, you know that all the world is a play.
Yep.
We don't know what scene we're in, but there's only one director.
sometimes you don't even
And
know how it's
she
going to end.
keeps telling me, Grant, that wasn't your choice.
It wasn't your choice.
It wasn't.
Same way with April. I can't, the medic who keeps believing she could have done something for Lance, we both know there's nothing she could have done. One of the things you did, the things that you found some real hope in was you met a man in March by the name of Majeed and his family. He was married to a lady by the name of Fatima. You have since become great friends with the family, Fatima and her children. And you are very much a father figure to them because you have made sure that you brought them under your protection, brought them back. And Earl Pomeroy himself also was involved in this, and Sergeant Beckert. All of you focused on that family. Tell me why.
So I'm going to correct your facts a little bit.
Okay, correct them, please.
I met him in October
Okay.
of 2004 after coming back from emergency leave. I
Yeah.
had went back to North Dakota and I actually met my family in Minneapolis, my kids and Jordan, and Jordan had to have a surgery done and couldn't wait, so I came back for that.
Okay.
When I was back sitting in the hospital, in the waiting room playing with the kids and Mom was in with Jordan, is when we got the call that Lance Koenig was killed.
Okay.
All I could think about was my boys. So got back to Iraq after my leave. My
Sure.
son's surgery turned out okay. And all the soldiers were talking about Majeed. Majeed this, Majeed, are we going to Majeed's today? And I'm like, Sarge, who's Majeed? He says, sir, it's a really cool guy we met.
Was this when that it was actually Sergeant Beckert had met him in March?
Yes.
Not you.
Not in March. We met him later in the year.
Yeah. When exactly did you meet him? Because
Becker met him in September.
Wow. So you didn't have much time to work with him.
No, we didn't have a ton.
No,
We didn't.
Because in November you came to him because it became too dangerous and said, "Stop doing this." Correct.
Yes. So Beckert had met him. I got out to meet the Majeed family. He showed me some of his documents from the previous command that was there and said what he was doing. He had actually been working a little bit with the current command that had taken over at a FOB called Brasfield Mora.
Okay.
We know it as a granary. And one of the things he was doing is he was collecting potential IEDs. The desert was littered with these artillery rounds and mortars because Saddam took them out of the bunkers and the military installations and buried them out in the desert so we wouldn't destroy them. So Majeed was picking these up that were littered throughout the desert and turning them into this base. And he would say, hey, you know, they would pay him. And that money he made by risking his life was buying the potato and the rice and the cooking oil for his family to survive. So he has connected, and he had been helping U.S. forces since when this whole conflict started, okay? And I'm like, okay, we're going to utilize your connection. And I didn't trust a lot of men I met casually. I knew that I could trust Majeed the day I met him. This was a father of 7, 6 at the time. 7th was born later.
Yeah.
I felt this man's passion and heart for his family and for not only the success but the freedom of his country. We had begun talking to Majeed in November about leaving the country, okay? I was already working with some agencies in the United States to see if I could get him out of there.
Get him sponsored, correct, essentially, right?
Sponsor him and his family. The kids didn't know that until we visited about it this weekend. I didn't want them to know those many years ago that their father may have had an opportunity to leave. He kept doing what he was doing to support us. He would tell Shane and I, don't worry, we'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll be fine. And he kept doing. And so what he was doing was gathering intelligence so that he was giving us information about what they were planning to use now to camouflage a roadside bomb, how they were going to place them, were they going to keep doing the type of detonation systems, the wiring systems that they were using. He was providing this information to us through an interpreter. He actually provided information about bomb-making houses, safe houses. He was an amazing man. He was trying to help us to help the country of Iraq succeed.
He wasn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't know for sure, I had to do a lot of research, and some of this is sparse, trying to find this after the fact. Decades later, it just doesn't pop out. Some of his information made it pretty far up the ladder, and some of the Marines actually ended up using some of this information to go after safe houses and bomb houses.
Yes.
So
he was identifying locations, and one infantry commander out of Brasfield Mora had told me that one point he was driving his truck and he got in front of their patrol, and as he drove past the safe house he gave them a signal, like tapped his brakes or did something. I can't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. But then he just scooted on by, and this patrol came in, and
he was amazing. Towards the end, how close had you become to Majeed and Fatima and the family?
They were our family away from home. I was missing out on a lot of the fun because when we got there, typically Majeed and I and Beckert would step into a room with our interpreter, and we would have our conversations.
Go to the maps. Go to the
what's happening.
Yeah.
Yep. And the meantime, we'd have 3 security vehicles surrounding the home and gunners out, and the rest of the guys
playing soccer,
having fun. I remember taking like this remote control Humvee sitting here. We had an extra one, took it out, and the kids got to drive it around the desert. They'd be sitting in the Humvees taking pictures with helmets on and holding M16s. They
had a ball, didn't they?
They were all just, yeah. And considering they're sleeping on a 1-inch foam mat, they're living on rice, potatoes, and that's basically it. No running water. It's a dirt floor, clay floor house farm. These kids were always just woohoo.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're just crazy. It was so fun just to be with them. And I really think that time we spent there, even though we were benefiting with some intelligence, was extremely beneficial to my men who had left little brothers and sisters, nephews and nieces, or children
Behind.
back home. And this just gave them a sense of, this is a family, and man, we love them and we're having fun. You know,
This is what I get to go back to if,
Yeah.
if everything works out. Now, you guys left in February 2005, correct?
yes.
You left there, came back, and I don't sense that you and Shane are to kind of give up. This wasn't over for you, by far. Whatever it took, and you were dealing with Carissa Page and Earl Pomeroy at that point, right?
Yes. So the day that we found out Majeed was killed on the 16th of January, we found out the morning of the 17th through an intel report. I found out. I came to talk to Shane. We were actually not scheduled to go south on that mission for about another 3 days. I got permission from the command. I didn't get permission. I told them I was going south in another platoon to
Yeah.
our north mission. And
You weren't asking. You weren't
no,
asking, essentially.
not at that point. And we went down there, and I wanted to get to Skinny. I was praying and praying and praying that somebody had got the name wrong and that this didn't actually
This is
happen.
another
This
Iraqi
was-
Navy.
Yeah. And when we got there, it was after dark in the evening, and Fatima had all the kids hidden in a closet. And I was at the door. Beckert, I believe, entered the house before me. And the mom, Fatima, who had been very proper and very appropriate the entire time we've been around them. I
Sure.
mean, she kept her face covered, her hair, she prepared meals, she was please and thank you.
Very culturally appropriate.
She would not touch an American soldier at that point.
Sure.
She literally jumped 6 feet. I mean, you and I are about 6 feet apart right now, but she jumped 6 feet, threw her arms around Sergeant Beckert, and said, "We go America?" And Shane said, "Yes." When I got back from mission that night, I sent all of the congressional delegations of North Dakota an email explaining this family and this man. And I said, "I need your help." I told Fatima that night before we left, I said, "You get out of here." And she says, "No, we can't. They have Omar." Because her oldest son had been kidnapped the day that Majeed was killed.
But they had him, and just so they know, I believe what I was told, Omar was with the Iraqi National Guard at that point. They had been the ones that picked him up.
Not initially. Initially, he was taken by Majeed's relatives and taken to Tikrit.
Okay.
And then the Iraqi National Guard, along with Fatima's brothers, helped recover him from Tikrit. And then they kept him and didn't reconnect him with Fatima till they knew it was safe.
And let's take this one step further. Not only did you go down and see her, unfortunately the terrorists came back a couple days later, right? And decided they wanted to take the whole family out. Am I right or wrong, what they weren't aware of, there was an ambush waiting for them.
Yes, they were being protected. They were being protected by not only us, but just near their home was a new Iraqi army base that the 141 engineers actually helped build.
Okay.
And when they came back, because I stopped into that base and I said, "You've got this house right here." I said, and I'm talking to Iraqi officers now, lieutenants and captains, okay? And I'm telling them, nothing happens to this family. And I don't remember a lot of details there. I don't know if Shane had set something up, but people came in and there was return fire. And if it was from the Iraqi nationals or from us, I really hate to say something wrong here.
They didn't have free reign to kill the family, essentially.
No, they
ran into heavy resistance.
yeah, no, they did.
They may have not even gotten out of court.
And so the night, the next visit, when we came rolling in, we had Iraqi soldier guns trained on us as I'm rolling in. And I'm like, no, hey, back to American, back down. Because these guys, I told them, protect her.
Yeah, high alert.
But they didn't have night vision yet. They couldn't see that I'm coming in there with, 3 Humvees and a couple of 5 tons. So, got there. Those 4 or 5 days, I'm sorry, Lloyd, are just kind of a blur. And I know that, if I go back and look at my emails and all this stuff, I'll have it legit. But the thing is, we told her to get out of there. When Omar was back, I said, you get safe, you go where you can be safe, you call your brother and tell him where you are, because I had brother's phone number. Brother was already living in the United States. Ali, after having been a refugee in a camp in Saudi Arabia after the first Gulf War.
Right.
And then he was assisting in training and teaching American soldiers cultural aspects and fighting techniques of the Iraqi army. So I had his contact. And so then shortly after that, we're packing up and we're going home.
I know.
And that was extremely hard. I had no idea. Where was Fatima? What, is everyone okay?
But she had already at that point gone down to southern Baghdad.
To Baghdad, yep.
Okay, and from what I spoke to her, nobody was going to get anywhere near her because they were in a house, not going anywhere at that point.
Yeah, they were sequestered. I mean, her parents locked her down.
And the kids.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
So let's take a step further. You go back, you realize that the only thing you now can do is use political influence to get her out. And that's where Pomeroy comes in.
Yes.
How did you and Pomeroy and Carissa Page approach that?
So when I knew they were safe, I contacted Ali, and I was already in frequent communication with Carissa Page. So instead of all 3 of the North Dakota representatives taking on a piece of this, they had met, and Earl says, I got this. And one of his amazing assistants, Carissa, and I were almost communicating daily.
Carissa Page, right?
Yes. And so we started working plans and details to get them out of the country, to get them from Baghdad to possibly Jordan, and a flight out of Jordan into the United States. We didn't really know where they were going to go or what they were going to do, but we were trying to get them out
of Iraq.
Then it turned out we started working with Lutheran Social Services and under their immigrant program. And we're like, okay, well, we can do this. We're going to bring them to North Dakota. And somewhere in this process, probably a week after I got home to the U.S., Carissa Page came up with, we're going to bring them here under special public benefit parole. Now, there have been like 49 parolees granted out of Iraq at this point.
Doesn't happen very often.
No, it's rare. But under that benefit, we had to raise money to take care of all of the needs. Medical, clothing, food, housing, the works.
There's a minimal amount of money needed to be raised in order to qualify.
Yep. And so Beckert and I got in touch with some local hosts. One of them was Scott Hannon, and he had actually interviewed Beckert and I when he hosted the Hannity show, and we're standing on our rooftop in Iraq.
He had a radio show, right?
Yeah. Scott Hannon had a local, but he was also the stand-in for Hannity.
Yeah.
And we had done interviews with them and told them about this family. He started telling the story on the radio. Then we started having fundraisers. We were selling hot dogs and Coke. And while people were listening, driving around, listening to the story as told from my eyes, Shane's eyes, many of our soldiers that came to help with these fundraisers, there were people coming in buying a hot dog and a Coke for $100
Wow.
and driving away. Said, thank you for everything you've done. We had pooled about $70,000 over 3 of these fundraisers. And at one of our later ones, we had a call, and I can't say his name right now, but he was an oil man from Texas that had done a lot of work in the Middle East.
Sure.
He said, I will match everything you have up to $70,000. So we went from having 70,000 to having 140.
Nice.
And that was unbelievable. I'm like, hey, I got goosebumps because I said, Sarge, we did it.
We did it.
We can get them here. We can take care of them until they can
Take care of themselves.
get green cards, become citizens, do what they need to do.
And what's really interesting about this, once you've had this all set up and you're ready to go, at that particular point, now it was logistics of getting them here. But they still weren't in the green zone, were they?
No, they weren't. So through Carissa Page, her brother Ali, actually the Arab interpreter that interpreted for George Bush, and myself, we got on the phone and tried to figure out how we could get them out of the country to get them on a plane safely.
This was March.
Yes. Congressman Pomeroy had planned a trip over to Iraq anyway as a U.S. representative, and he went during this time frame.
And he would have met with Ambassador Callahan, which was the Iraqi ambassador
Yes.
at the time.
And
Well, by the way, I work for this. How come I got involved in this story? So you'll see where I come in here.
awesome. Pomeroy began the process of saying, okay, we need to get them in here. Fatima had given birth outside of the green zone. She was waiting in line to get the documents that shows the legitimacy of Zahra's, or April, which is her nickname, her birth. And while they were waiting in line, a car bomb went off about 300 meters from them.
Was this in Baghdad?
Yes.
This wouldn't happen to have been the Plymouth district of Baghdad where the Shiite was it?
You know, I'm not 100% sure on the location.
I'll find
She
out.
was at a government office trying to gather data. So what happened is Asra took a piece of shrapnel into her right eye, and all they did outside of the green zone was stabilize it. And I heard this through Ali, let Carissa know there was an expedited mission. The family was all directed to go to this train station, and they thought they were getting on a train to go to Jordan or Syria or somewhere.
Now, I want to interject as we go along. I had asked, and it was originally Fatima's idea to go to Syria.
Yeah.
At that time, Syria was very pro-Saddam.
Correct.
It would have been the worst thing she could have done. Worst thing she could have done. So, if see if I got the facts correct. They said, okay, if she's bound and determined to go to the train station, we'll meet her there, and we'll bring her back. Is that the way it happened?
From my understanding is she wanted to board the train to get to
Yeah.
Syria and fly from there. And I don't know if she had some contacts or family there or anything. But yeah, so they're waiting at the train station, and all of a sudden a Apache helicopter flies over, and all of a sudden a couple of armored personnel carriers come by, and 3 or 4 Humvees. And soldiers jump out, and the kids were just terrified. They didn't know what was going on. And a soldier, 1 or 2 soldiers, was responsible for each of the kids. And they went out, they bear hugged them, scooped them out of there, threw them in the Humvees, and
It was
I-
over. They were done in seconds.
and when they realized what was going on, you know, the kids were like, we're in the green zone,
Yes.
and we're safe. And they were just, I mean, I hear stories about that, and you know how they ate pizza for the first time, and I mean it was like a, you know, James Bond mission, you know,
Yeah.
and it was just like boom, and it happened like that, and immediately they got Asra into an emergency surgery where they removed the shrapnel from her eye and did a bunch of repair work, literally saved her eye.
Saved her eye.
And within a month after them being here in North Dakota, we had a surgeon from the University of Minnesota that agreed to care for her eye and repair her sight, all pro bono.
Ultimately, in the end, you did get her here. They've become your family. They're part of your family. You're part of theirs. Is this the legacy you have from your time and your tour in Iraq?
Yes,
And are you
they
proud of
are a part of my family. They will be a part of my family the rest of my life. It wasn't just me. There's a lot of people that say this was Grant, this was Captain Wells, thank you, thank you. This was an effort of a lot of people, and I was at the top kicking some asses to make sure it all happened. But Shane and I made a promise to Majeed.
And you kept it.
We kept it.
And on that aspect of it, I have to say thank you. And I want everybody to take a look at this interview with Grant, Colonel Grant Wills, and I want you to understand what they did over there goes far beyond what was expected of them militarily. And I want to say thank you for that. This has been the Military Historian channel, and I'm Lloyd Shellenberger. I want to thank everyone for taking a look at this and really paying attention to what these military people from the 141st did for this family.
All right. So here's the deal. If you actually like and want to share these videos, I think you're supposed to hit the share and a like button. Go ahead, hit it. I think that's what you're supposed to do. And share it with others. We've got more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time.